about something that you have been wanting to come together for a long time, right? Something that you have either wanted for somebody else or maybe you wanted for yourself. And ask yourself, have you ever had any self-doubt around it, right? Go in the chat and just let me know, yes or no. Do you have it in mind? Do you have that goal, that dream, that miracle, that thing that you just, it's like you want it so bad to come true. But it's like if you were to really ask yourself, have you really been all in and going after it? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, has there been any hesitation, any procrastination, am I crazy? Like, why, you know what I mean? Like when I look at what I prioritize in the day, I can tell you what I'm committed to. I always say when people come to me, because I teach business a lot, when people come to me and they say, Shanna, help me with my cash flow, or, one of my best lives is if I put a hook that says, let me show you how to create a cash injection in your life, because the cash injection doesn't just help you, it also helps people you love, right? And so those hooks work really well, but the truth is behind closed doors, when we turn off these lives, what our intention is, it manifests in our results. Are you guys following me here? So recently, in the last like 4 or 5 months, I feel like my leadership and your leadership is always expanding. It's like peeling different layers of an onion off, and we see new sides of ourselves, or at least we hope. If we're a growth, who's a growth mindset? Put growth in the chat. Who's a growth, like seriously, not everybody's growth mindset. We have the people in our life where we try and have a conversation with them and they get offended or defensive when you talk about even your own goals and aspirations, right? They're like, you should just be happy with what you got. Right, but what's the fun in that? Like, I think it's great to be happy with what you got, but like, if the human spirit loves growth, it's like, why not have a dream? And I think the reason why not, or a big one, is because some of the dreams that we've had for a while maybe haven't come true yet, or you feel like the rug's been pulled out from underneath you. What if I was to tell you that you 100%, the way you walk, the way you talk, the tone in your voice, like, all of it elicits a response from somebody else? Does that make sense? Like, if I was literally with about 20 girls this morning in Puerto Rico, and we were actually talking about women's words, and how our words are they're so important, and often we misuse them, right? Like, we misuse them by being short, or I had to stop the other day with my husband because he's like, I feel like I became the contractor of our house, and you're like, all you're pointing out is the things that need to get completed. And I'm sitting there going, ouch, like, I'm so sorry. Like, you've done a great job. But I had to mean it. Because have you ever gotten a compliment where somebody said, you're amazing, you're so awesome. But the truth is underneath, that they don't believe that. Like, you can feel it. Am I right or am I right? If you've ever felt somebody give you either a backhanded compliment or a compliment that was not true, put the word me in the chat. If, like, me, I have had that. Put the word me in the chat if you've ever experienced that. So that's you feeling intention. What if it was a blind spot where you're working really, really hard to create something, whether for yourself or someone you love, right? You're trying to repair a relationship, you're trying to create a relationship, you're trying to grow a business, whatever it is, and that there's kind of a blind spot. You say what you want, but underneath there's a different intention, or there's just not having.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't care to. Yeah.
Can you mute that, Keith? Or there just isn't a clear intention that you're locked into. So my really good friend, Michael Strasner, who I don't even know how long we've been in each other's lives, and if I did, I wouldn't tell you at this point. My boy, has been a long time. I used to sit outside a room, and when he would train, I would listen to him train from the other side of the room. And the reason why is because I would see people or hear people break through, and I would hear people figure out what their real intention, like why they're getting the results in their life that they necessarily don't want, because their real intention was pulling in, attracting, and creating responses that they didn't want. How many of you guys have a response in your life that you don't want? Put an X. You have a response in your life, something, it could be a person, situation, whatever, that you don't like. Put an X in the chat. Okay, so now look at the chat right now. If you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever, Facebook, look at the chat. We have thousands of people who are watching us online right now. Look at the chat, right? Look at how many people. You are not alone. That means we have a break in leadership and mainly in intention of how we're moving forward. And if we get out of bed with a sigh or exhaustion or, oh my gosh, like without passion and vision, guess what? To me, that's a day not worth living. I don't mean taking your life. I mean, how can we engage ourselves in the spot where we wake up and we've got a clear intention to create what we want? That's where urgency comes in. That's where passive aggression goes away. That's where we start to become causal in a way that we really want. The man that I'm about to bring to the screen, to your screen, is a man that shifted my husband in about 5 minutes on a lifelong trigger that he had with women before me and had it with me, right? He has helped countless hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of the Heartcore business clients. If you have been touched by Michael Strasner, if you have been touched by Michael Strasner, I'd like you to put an M for Michael. If you've been touched by Michael Strasner in some way in your life, put an M in the chat. Okay, so if you look at the chat right now, he just spoke at our zone event and he was in tears with the impact of the people that he had helped. I want that impact for you. And we've got to be able to get your intention clear. So I'm going to invite Michael back to the stage right now, if we can bring him up with me. Where is he?
Hi.
Hi, can we bring him on the screen with me? So good. Where are you? Are you in a hotel room right now?
I am in a hotel in Phoenix, yes.
I was like, it's dark. Normally it's bright. So, Michael, thank you for being here. And I asked you specifically to speak on intention because I think it's a blind spot for a lot of people. They say they want certain things in their life and they don't get it. And when they really examine their come from, their heart, where they're coming from, I don't think it's intuitive to really understand this concept or how to walk with great intention in the world. You do this with your family, you do it with your business. You guys, we have brought lots of people on to train for us. And I remember when we opened up Hardcore Leadership, and there was someone that Michael actually had to remove from the training. And I don't know if you remember this, but it was the first training we ever did. And you stayed with the person for a couple weeks checking in on them because you wanted to make sure that they were okay, right? And I share this with you because you can't, character, you can't fake. Do you know what I mean? Like character, you can't fake. And heart, you can't hide. And so an intention comes so much from all of that. So I'm going to give you the screen, I'm going to give you the stage, and I just really thank you for being here, pouring into all of us. And I have my notebook like I always do, because I always become a better human every time I listen to you speak. So thank you for being here, and Keith, you can take me off.
Thanks, Shanda. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Can everybody hear me? Give me a thumb if you can. Okay, yes, I am in Phoenix. I'm here for a few days. I just got back from Hawaii, and I was spending a week with my wife celebrating her 50th birthday. So Valentine's Day, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I feel like I've been in a never-ending Valentine's Day experience for not only the last 10 days, but several years with my wife. And one of the challenges I want to address in terms of intention is, what do you get for somebody that doesn't want or need anything? I want you to just take a moment and think about that. So my wife never wants anything or need anything. She doesn't really care about jewelry. She doesn't care about clothes. She's not attached to things. Like, imagine how easy it would be to get something for somebody if they liked jewelry. I mean, it's so easy. In today's world, I don't have to leave the house. I could just get on the internet and order her something. But that's not the way it works. So here's how it works in my life. I have a clear intention. Shanda's talking about intention. I have a clear intention, and my intention is to create something wonderful for my wife so that my wife can experience the love, the appreciation, the gratitude, the respect, the admiration that I feel for her. And it's a challenge. I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy. It's absolutely a challenge. Not to love her and to feel that way about her. It's a challenge to create the experience. Now, what do I do? With my intention, I start perking on what am I committed to creating in her birthday experience. And even though I don't know what I'm going to do, I perk on it. Do you guys understand and know that concept of perking on it? You know, when you're actively engaged, you're actively engaged in the idea of something, but you don't have the solution. You don't have the answer. Okay. If your intention is clear, you will figure it out. And if your intention wavers, then you will remove yourself from the active engagement and you'll fall into procrastination, avoidance, time wasting, circumstances, obstacles, and all of the other things that get in the way of what you wanted in the first place. And so what I do is I lock myself in. I am creating a magical experience for my wife. We're going to Hawaii. And is that enough? You know, for a lot of people, that might be enough. But I don't settle for something being enough because it might work for most people. I stand in my intention to create the experience. I'm actively engaged. And then through my active engagement, things pop up. And so I came up with different ideas, different possibilities. I engaged in conversation with people. So if you were going to take your wife to Hawaii, I asked 5 different people that I love and respect. If you're going to take your wife to Hawaii and you were going to create something for her there that you've never done before and it's special and magical, what would you create? And so through the conversation, the active engagement, possibilities started to come up for me. And then I continually asked myself the question, is this enough? And the answer was no. I was committed to creating an over-the-top experience for her. Now, not only did she say, I don't want anything and I don't need anything, but she also told me that I'm not allowed to have a party for her. So I cannot have a 50th birthday party for her. Now, when I had my 50th birthday party, it was a blowout party. I created an 80s party. I generated my own experience. I actually created the playlist for my 80s birthday party because I love music. I'm passionate about music. I used to be a DJ, plus I'm a trainer, which makes me a part-time DJ. And I created my own playlist because I said, if I'm going to a party that's for me, I at least want to listen to the music that I want to hear. And what I did was I on purpose put on some tracks from my party that very few people would know. And I knew it would clear the dance floor except for me and my best friend, Jim, who I grew up with. And what I used to do when we would go to clubs is I would make the request of the DJ to play these specific songs that would clear the dance floor so that Jim and I could be the only 2 people out on the dance floor, create lots of interest, attention, and intention to create opportunities to meet girls. Hello. Intention works in many different ways. Tapping into creativity. So I embarked on this journey. I created this experience. My wife is empowered. My wife is so lit up that literally she says to me, we don't need to do anything for Valentine's Day. I feel tremendous love. I feel tremendous love. I get how much you care about me. And so basically, we're in Phoenix. She's on a hike right now. She was completely empowered to go on the hike by herself, didn't need me to be with her, didn't think she needed to wait or any of the things. And we're probably going to watch a Netflix show, and that would be enough. And so when you create something that is so meaningful and rich and valuable, then it no longer becomes about the thing itself. It's about the experience. And going back to intention, intention is not just the desire to have something, because everybody here has desire. Yes? I mean, why would you be here? Why would you be doing the work you're doing? You have desire. You also have dreams and you have goals. Now, I'm sure you guys talk about this all the time, but this is my first time being with you. Can you put a goal in the chat right now so I can see some of the meaningful, significant, important dreams you have, or goals you have, or desires you have, or aspirations you have? So we have money goals. We have business opening goals. Want to make enough money to retire my parents. That's beautiful. So building a business, finding my soulmate, happy clients, paying off debt. Oh, making movies. Okay. Talk about creativity. Property, purchasing property, amazing relationships. Okay. So we have personal goals. We have professional goals. Now, I don't want you to take this personally, what I'm about to say, but I also want you to take it personally if it applies to you. So don't take it personally, but take it personally. If you don't have what you say you want right now, then what you have is something else. And the something else you have is a story. And a story becomes an excuse when you give your power to the story. So I'm going to say that again. If you don't have what you want, and there's something you want that you don't have, then what you have is something else. And what you have is a story. And that story becomes an excuse when you give your power to the story. So one story you might have is, I haven't met the right person yet. I challenge you with that. What is the right person? Some of you have a story about business that I would be more successful, but the economy has been erratic. Some of you have a story about your health. You know, I have an overactive thyroid, or I've always been overweight. If we rewind the tape, the day you were born, you could have weighed 7 pounds and 8 ounces. And so in reality, more often than not, the story you have is just a story. But when you give it power, then it becomes an excuse and a roadblock to stop you and prohibit you from creating what you say you want. So the question you must ask yourself is, are you willing to give up the story? Are you willing to give up the story that men are untrustworthy, that women are high maintenance, that life is hard, that life is difficult, that I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, that I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough? In other words, we all have these conversations of lack. We have conversations of limitation. In my work, in our work, we call those limiting beliefs. And these limiting beliefs become ultimate authorities which dictate our actions and the choices that we create. Now, what I love about human being is that for every story that someone has about what isn't possible, there's someone who did it. For every story that an entrepreneur has about why they're not successful, there's at least 100 other entrepreneurs who had much bigger circumstances, much bigger limiting beliefs, much bigger obstacles, much bigger self-doubt, who were able to overcome those obstacles to become successful. Now, what is the fundamental difference between the two? It isn't just the power of intention. It is the commitment to what you say you want, where you are locked in and there is no other choice. It is a mindset and a belief. And it is also you enrolling yourself in the value of it. Here's where people fall short. They say, I want to make $1 million. And that's as far as they go with the declaration of the goal. They might say it like, I want $1 million, or I want to be in love, or I want to lose 25 pounds, or I want to have better relationships, or I want to grow my business, or whatever. But what they don't do is they don't enroll themselves in the vision of what they say they want until there is no other choice. The typical person that you ask and you say, hey, what do you want? I want $1 million. Okay, how come you don't have it? That very same person can go on for an hour or 2 hours about why they don't have the $1 million. Like in detail. Why don't I have $1 million? Oh my God. Okay, where should I start? How about let's start with my family. So I was born into a family where my mother and father were divorced. By the time I was 1, I was abandoned by my father. My mother remarried somebody when I was 4. She said, hi, this is your new dad. We lived in scarcity throughout my childhood. My mother used to say, whenever we left the house, Michael, don't ask for anything. Don't ask for anything ever. So my point is, the person could go on and on and on and on with a detailed story, like a soap opera, as the stomach turns, they could go into a deep, long-winded, specific story about why they're in scarcity, why they're in survival, why it's been so hard, why they can't, why they haven't yet, and so on. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Think about your own life. Somebody says, what do you want? I want to be in love. How come you're not in love? Oh my God. Okay, get some Kleenex. Let me talk to you about my last 5 relationships. Do you have any idea what a heart can go through? If you knew the pain and suffering that I have been in, you wouldn't want to be in a relationship either. So in other words, we have so much invested in the past. We have so much invested in the reasons and the excuses and the justifications for why we don't have something. But what we don't do is create a Magna Carta for our vision. We don't create a Declaration of Independence. We don't create a constitution based on our vision, based on what we want, based on what our life will be like when we have it, based on why it matters to us, based on the principles that I'm committed to living my life from in order to manifest this vision. All we do is simply say, I want to make $1 million. So what is intention? Intention is declaring something that is meaningful, declaring something that can transform our life and the quality of our life, and putting the specifics into the declaration. Like I brought up and used the example of declaring that I'm committed to creating a magical birthday for my wife for her 50th birthday, but me not knowing how. Remember what I said? I was actively engaged in the pursuit. Now, I'm not accusing you guys of anything. I'm not saying you're uncommitted and you don't care and you don't want what you want, unless that applies to you. And I'm absolutely saying it. So if you need to hear that feedback, hear the feedback. Wake up. Be honest. Tell the truth. Everybody's heard the expression, the truth will set you free. Well, sometimes we need to hear the truth, even if we don't like it. So I'm not saying that you're not committed, but if you aren't committed, that could actually be your issue. The lack of commitment to what you say you want. And the investment you have in the story, the investment you have in the reasons why not. Everybody get this? Now, we could be talking about anything, but I'm going to talk about something else. Did you guys see the movie? It came out recently, I think about 3 months ago, called Naiad. Anybody see that movie? It was, I think, on Netflix, actually. So it won a bunch of awards recently in the, wasn't Oscars, the Emmy, was it Emmys? No, Golden Globes, okay? So won a bunch of awards. This movie is amazing. It's based on a true story of a woman who was committed to making the longest swim in the history of the world. She made a declaration that she was going to swim from Cuba to the United States. Now, if you haven't seen this movie, this is a must. Not a maybe, not let me think about it, not I don't like to watch movies. If you're committed to your vision and goals, this is an invitation to you to watch this movie, because if you want to talk about the power of intention, this woman / human did something that seemed utterly impossible. And it wasn't just physical. As a matter of fact, it could be argued it was 90% intention and only 10% her physical abilities. because she did something, and I'm not going to ruin the movie, but she did something that made me so uncomfortable. I mean, I was watching this, squirming in my living room. I wasn't in the water. I wasn't cold. I wasn't surrounded by sharks. I was in my living room on my couch, feeling this extraordinary discomfort for what this woman was choosing to do, which is the other piece. She was choosing this. It's like she could have done so many other things and not have to have done this experience. But here's the key. In her world, there was only one choice. And there was absolutely no other possibility. She was so locked in to the intention. Circumstances don't matter, didn't matter. Physical, mental, emotional, none of the circumstances matter. The past didn't matter. History didn't matter. The evidence didn't matter. What the world said didn't matter. And see, that's what I love about human beings, is there are always examples of somebody that does something or causes something or creates something that the world didn't think was possible. When I was a kid, and many of you probably were raised the same way, I was told that I had to have an education, and without an education, I would never be successful. If that applies to you, say me too in the chat. It was driven into me like a 2x4 or a paddle, like, you know, those paddles they used to hit kids in Catholic school with? Anybody ever get hit with a paddle? So it was driven into me like a 2x4 every single day. Michael, you are going to be an epic failure if you don't have a degree. The only way you're ever going to be successful is you must have a degree. You must have an education. You have to have an education. Everything began with and ended with, you must have an education. You must have an education. Okay. Then crazy things start happening in our world. Steve Jobs comes along. Steve Jobs is a college dropout. Steve Jobs never had a college degree. Steve Jobs created the most successful business in the history of the world without a college education. Sir Richard Branson was a high school dropout. He didn't even finish high school. And he owns an airline. To my knowledge, pilots need to have an education in order to become pilots. They certainly have to have a pilot's license, which means they have to have a pilot certification at the very least. But he owns a company, a multi-billion-dollar company he created from nothing. Do you know what Richard Branson was doing when he was a teenager and he dropped out of high school? He started a rock and roll magazine to review bands. So he would go to a concert and he would write a review about the concert. He would listen to an album and then he would write a review about the album. He was told when he was a child that he had dyslexia. And so he had a belief that he couldn't write, couldn't read, but yet he somehow found a way to start a rock and roll magazine. Virgin Records. Anybody ever hear of Virgin Records? Which then became Virgin Atlantic, and so on and so forth. My point to you is, to every person that has the belief that I don't know enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not worthy enough, how about the fact that Oprah Winfrey was sexually abused as a child? Many of us have had traumatic things happen in our life, and I'm not in any way making light of it. I'm making a point. Oprah had a horrific childhood with sexual abuse, verbal abuse, mental abuse, and it affected her in many, many ways, including her weight. Think of how many people who have had these extraordinary, traumatic, painful, awful, heartbreaking, devastating things happen to them. Yet somehow, some way, Oprah was able to rise above those conversations to become one of the most successful women in the history of the world. Not just a broadcaster. I mean, we could just go to broadcasting. You know, sometimes people say these really awful things like, you have a face for radio. Some of you might have heard that expression, that this person could never be on TV, but they've got a great face for radio. Well, Oprah was never a size 6. She was never a size 4. She doesn't look like the typical talk show host or journalist you might see on television, but it didn't stop her from manifesting her vision. It didn't get in the way to the point where she gave her power away to those painful memories, to those painful stories, to those painful experiences. And so my point to you is, why not you? Some of you are 30 years old right now, 40, 50, 60. Why not you? Why not now? And what will it take from you to interrupt your own automatic pilot? What will it take from you to interrupt the channel you are on and change the channel? Something that I experience with many people is that they want it to change. They want him to change. They want her to change. Now, in a perfect world, when you wanted something bad enough, everybody else would change so you could have it. Wouldn't that be great? You could just sit on your couch with your bonbons, you know, your popcorn, just sit on the couch and say, you know what? I really want my husband to get his act together. And then just magically, he would just go do it. And then you'd be happy. Wouldn't that be great? Everybody changes. You know what? I want to lose 25 pounds. And I'm going to do it by sitting on my couch, eating bonbons. It's just going to magically happen. Of course. But that's not how life works. Everybody knows that. Transformation is an inside job. It will not change until you change it. The world around you is a reflection of you. Your bank account is a reflection of you. Your business success is a reflection of you. Your current relationship status is a reflection of you. And when you get that, this, my friends, is what I call a gift. It is the gift of responsibility, the power to respond to your life, the power to act and take action in the face of your circumstances, to act and take action, to create the goal, to manifest the goal, to accomplish what you say you want. And every single one of you has it inside of you. And I want you to hear this. Until you have the experience I'm talking about, then you will be depriving yourself of the power of being a human being. The difference between you and me and a squirrel is that a squirrel doesn't know it's a squirrel. A squirrel is in survival. Do you guys know what a squirrel is? unless you live in Puerto Rico, because there's no squirrels in Puerto Rico. But squirrels are doing the same thing now today in 2024 that they were doing back when I was a child in the 70s. They are running around frantically, very nervous, with tremendous anxiety, looking desperately for a nut. And they are doing everything they possibly can to avoid getting crushed by a car. And then they are anxiously looking for a hiding spot in a tree. And the life of a squirrel has not changed. I observed squirrels as a child. I observed squirrels today. They are doing the exact same thing. Humans have the power to alter their life. We have communication. We have consciousness. We have thought. We have the ability to visualize and to create through our actions the life of our dreams. You could be overweight and then go to the gym, eat healthy, and lose weight. You could be single and decide one day, I am beautiful and worthy of love, so I'm heading to Starbucks. I mean, where else am I going to meet people in the world? Starbucks. If you're single, you can wake up one day and decide, I want to be in love, so I'm going to Starbucks. You don't have to find anybody. They come to you. Just get there early, grab a love seat. You got to make sure you get the love seat. Make sure you have space next to you. And when the people come in, think of it like this. It's like a conveyor belt of possibility, one right after the next. So he walks in, nah, I don't think so. He walks in, wait, that could be a possibility. And then what do? You say, hi, how's it going? What's happening? How's your day? Wow, I think I just got struck by lightning. You walked into Starbucks. Who knew I was minding my own business here with my love seat right next to me? Would you like to bring your mocha latte over here and have a seat with me and get to know each other? I mean, why not? You have the power to create anything you want as a human being. And by the way, if you're fun, if you're exciting, if you're interesting, if you're joyful, if you're happy, if you're alive, if you're bringing out the best of yourself, if you're exuding your beauty and your attractiveness in life, guess what, my friends? People want to be in relationship with you. You become a magnet to attract possibilities. Now, if you're sitting over in the singular chair at Starbucks and you're staring at your, you're staring at your social media on your phone, looking at all of these couples that are in love. Oh my God, look at this. Oh my God, look at this. These people are so happy. He's so handsome. Whoa. I wish he would hit up my DM. I mean, you are missing the boat, my friends. You're in relationship with yourself. You're disconnected from the world. And what is required is you to show up in the world that you live in and generate those possibilities. Did you guys hear what Shanda said when we started this call today? She was walking out of what? Safeway? And she was in some sort of a story and conversation about scarcity and not having enough money. And all of a sudden she meets some stranger and they offer her $5,000. I mean, some of you are so cynical in your thought process. You say to yourself, oh, that would never happen to me. Well, yeah, it would never happen to you because you would never think something like that could happen. But I can promise you this. If you show up in life with clear intention, bringing forward your beauty, your joy, your energy, your passion, your excitement, you bring forth the attitude and the confidence and the belief that who you are is worthy and who you are is someone to be respected, you will generate possibilities everywhere you go. You are not a squirrel. You are not in survival. You are not in desperation as if it's a lifetime sentence. It is only a temporary state. And you have the power as a human being to shift it, to alter it, and to transform it. But it all begins with you and how you're being, you and your attitude, you and your beliefs. So enroll yourself in your goals. Don't just say, I want to make $1 million. Why do you want to make $1 million? How are you going to make $1 million? What are you going to do with that $1 million? What does that $1 million mean to you? What impact will you make with that $1 million? When you are fully enrolled, when you are fully engaged, when you are fully committed, then you create a plan. How do I bridge the gap from where I am to where I want to be? You're not going to sit on the couch and get excited about being a size 4. You're not going to sit on the couch and be excited about losing 30 pounds and continue to eat the same way you eat and continue to exercise the same way you exercise. Yes, a plan matters, but the diet itself doesn't work. It's only temporarily putting a Band-Aid on your health. But when you transform your relationship with your body, when you transform your relationship with yourself, then you have the power to release that weight once and for all. I've coached thousands and thousands of people to create the body they've always wanted, to quit smoking and never go back, to create the kind of relationships they've always wanted, and to go from being a wantrepreneur to an actual entrepreneur. Every entrepreneur could have been a failure in their business, but the ones that are successful and are successful over time have clear intention and responsibility, and they own it. It's not about starting a business. I saw somebody write that in the chat. I want to start a business. No, 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 no. You want to create a business that is thriving, not start a business. We don't want to put all the intention into opening day. We want to put the intention into winning the World Series. We want to put the intention into winning the championship over a long period of time. You've got to think like the Golden State Warriors. And by the way, I'm a Celtic fan, but you want to speak, think, talk, walk, act like a champion in everything you do. And if you do that, the results will take care of themselves. So lock yourself into your intention, release and let go of the stories. Shanda, I think we're at time. I'm focused on making sure that we are complete in the 45 minutes. Are you here?
Thank you. Yes, I'm here. I've written all these notes. I've already sent you a text message. I'm like, are you available on Thursday? Because I need to talk to you about something. Like, this is the power of being engaged in this type of a lifestyle, right? You guys say thank you to Michael. Say thank you, thank you, thank you. Michael, I sent you a text message for real. Thank you for being here. Love you, my friend. So
Love you
good.
too.
All right, you guys. So we're coming to the top of the hour. But I wrote all these notes. I want to ask you right now, what stood out to you? Right? What stood out to you? Go in the chat and let us know what stood out to you. What started to percolate inside you? This whole week has been dedicated to how do we really create miracles in our life? And I love miracles. I mean, I told you at the beginning of starting this live, I said I was with 20 women this morning. We were just talking about the power of our words. Right? And how much either our words are creating something remarkable or they are destroying something. And you got to ask yourself, what is coming out of your mouth? So here's what I'm going to ask you to kind of walk through this with me and then I'll close this down. So what is it that you're struggling with right now? What is the thing in your personal life or your business? Do this work right now. What are you struggling with right now? right? Is it you're struggling with cash flow? Are you struggling with people disappointing you? Are you struggling with a relationship? Are you struggling with the battle of the bulge in the fridge, right? Like you can't stop going to the fridge, even though you keep telling yourself, I'm going to eat healthy. You just haven't been able to complete on what you said you wanted. And I share this with you right now because I wrote this down. I was like, you know, the thing that drives me the most nuts, and you tell me if you agree with this, is that when people tell me they're going to do something and they give me a reason, I think Michael said they justify it, right? They give me a reason why it can't happen. Does that drive anybody else crazy? Like they give me if that drives you crazy, put a C in the chat for crazy, like cuckoo, crazy, nuts, right? Yeah, it drives me crazy, but yeah, ask yourself, how many of you guys are doing that to yourself? I call them open loops, right? Like there's nothing worse there's nothing worse, there's nothing that has hurt me more in my life than having people who have not done the hardcore leadership training, like no shit. Okay, like, it's like, I have a language with my husband. I have a language with my mother. My mother sat right here. My mother literally just got up 2 seconds ago. She sat right here in this chair. You can't see it, but this chair had my mom's butt in it a couple seconds ago, and she was studying and listening to Michael Strasner. And her thing is she's been hurt enough times in a relationship. What would it be like to let go of the story and not keep cursing it and rehearsing it? Right? When your heart wants something different, but your intention keeps gravitating towards your old results. And your intention is what you talk about. It's what you obsess over. It's how you get up in the morning. It's how you finish. Like, I used to be a great starter and a shitty finisher. Right? And I look at all the people that I get to do life with, and I think to myself, you know, there are some great leaders in this world that I used to stare at and I'd be like, it doesn't matter what happens to their life. Tell me if you know one. But they always make it. They're often the people you look at and you go, how did you do that? How did you do that? And you do anything for a coffee or a lunch or a dinner with that person because you just want to extract out the formula. Like, how did you do that? How did you create $1 million? How did you raise such amazing kids? How did you create a 10 out of 10 relationship with someone that you love? Right? Am I right or am I right on this one? Like, have you ever found yourself in that dialogue? If I could only just sit with that person, then I could. And the answer is no, you couldn't. You could sit with them all day long. And if you don't have the drive and the leadership to close your own loops to your intentions, it doesn't matter how many people you put on a pedestal, it doesn't come together. And some people have this reoccurring story that if only I could sit with that person, if only I could meet a good man or a woman, if only I could pay off my credit card debt. You do not think you're just going to go back into debt? Oh no, I would never do it again. No, there's leadership that literally and I'm going to take it past leadership. I'm going to decode it because people always say to me, what is leadership? Let me just decode this. You think a certain way. Think about it. Think about every trigger you have. Think about a trigger you have with somebody specific. Do you got that person in your mind? Have you ever had that trigger with somebody else? Have you ever had that trigger with someone else? You have. You absolutely have. I look at a trigger that I had when I was a little girl. My parents used to make me, my mom and dad were separated. My dad used to make me read Time magazine. Guess what he just bought my son for his birthday? Time magazine subscription. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? He's like, sends me a message. Can I send little Zacky's birthday's coming up? Can I send him Time magazine? I'm like, absolutely, daddy, right? Because he loves that. But like, he used to make me sit down, hear the word make, there's my victim, sit down and literally talk about Time magazine. I know certain articles only because I didn't read them, and it was traumatic how many times I had to come to the table and how many beach moments I had to lose because I really didn't read it. I skimmed it and he knew it and he wanted me to show up better for myself. He wanted me to show up in excellence. I only share this with you because in that time in my life, if you put any pressure on me, and this is where think about yourself right now, don't get wrapped in my story. If you put any pressure on myself, I would get this angst in me and I'd be like, stop, like I've got to study for the English test. I've got to study for the math test. I got to read Time magazine. Anytime anybody put pressure on me, I pushed everything away because I felt the incredible stress of what I didn't know was rejection. I was so afraid of failing that I wouldn't put in the effort to study. And then when it came down to a deadline, I became the exact person that pushed everybody I loved away from me. So I see some people already putting, I can relate. And then I started getting older and I got into my 20s and I flunked out of university. I actually just stopped going. I moved to Las Vegas and I started to realize that when I didn't have my dad's paycheck over me and I was living in America, that I had to figure it out. And I wasn't doing such a great job with it. I was trying and trying and trying. And I have a really good friend of mine, Carrie Henderson, in Las Vegas, who came to me and said, Shanda, do you know, and she was somebody who actually gave me real feedback. She goes, you know, you have these high highs and these low lows. And she said, the high highs are amazing. You're so fun to be around, but then it's like, it's almost like you lose all appreciation for anything good happening in your life. Talk about intention, right? I had a boyfriend that used to leave me in parking lots. Like he'd just leave me. Like he'd just forget about me. We'd go to an event or we'd go somewhere and he'd drive home and then call me and I stayed with him. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just share this with you because I remember going to Starbucks and as if Starbucks was gonna, I don't know what it is about coffee shops and entrepreneurs, right? There's some of them out there, they brand themselves coffee shop entrepreneurs. I think that should be the biggest trauma ever. We all need to run from coffee shops because the coffee shops are the places that we go to feel better, but we really don't have to do anything. We go and we drink high sugar, like lattes, or maybe you drink it black, but that's not me. You know what I mean? Like you go there and you're like, the croissants are there, the fattening blueberry muffin or the bran muffin that looks like it's healthy and your mom told you it was healthy when it's just absolutely incredibly unhealthy. And you just repeat the same stories of what has you feel disappointed in your life. And I'll even go as far as I felt scared. And so some of you guys may or may not have heard my pocket coaching, but I actually came out of a facility, a coffee shop. It wasn't Safeway, and somebody came up to me and they actually gave me $5,000. And what shifted was I was losing my homes to foreclosure. I was at an all-time low. I didn't know how to get out of it. I had absolutely like very, very low money. And I had foreclosure notices on my door. And I made a decision. Some of you guys, this is going to be a great hack. It's not a complete shift, but it's a great hack. And Michael kind of alluded to it when he was saying enroll yourself. I had to enroll myself out of a desperate situation. And you can imagine, right? Anybody relate to where I was at, or maybe you're there right now? Like I was so broke it hurt. That's the honest truth. I was so broke it hurt. And so I wrote on a piece of paper and I made a commitment that I was going to do this 2 times a day. So write this down if you need some help right now. I wrote, what am I proud of myself for and why? So I'm proud of myself for moving from Vancouver, Canada to America with $500 in my pocket because I had enough courage to get on the plane. And I've made it this far, right? I'm proud of myself that when I got declined multiple times, some of you guys are applying for funding, loans, lines of credit, you get declined and you just quit. Do you know how many times UNLV, the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, declined my student loan? 3 times. And every time I felt the feeling of defeat, but I went right back in there because I had no back door. I think Michael said, it's unfortunate that some people wait till you really have to change before you change when you just don't have to live like that, right? It's like everybody has a rock bottom somewhere. right? And so I went back in 3 times and then I got my student loan approved, right? And so, but I had no choice. My dad said, move back to Canada, I'll clear up your bills, and I was not going home with my tail between my legs. For whatever reason, that was not an option. I shut it down. Some of you guys right now need to shut down some of the options in your life. You need to make a decision that you're not going to be treated like that. You're not going to treat other people like that, that you're going to raise your standards, that you're not going to go to your bank account again and see it at that balance level. Some of you guys need to say, I'm not going to live in this neighborhood anymore. I'm not going to raise babies in this neighborhood. I'm not going to ignore my children or put them on iPads. The data is absolutely freaking scary to see what's happening to the minds of the children that all these parents have outsourced to the screen. You know who I'm talking to right now, right, y'all? I'm really easy, grandparents, to judge the parent, your kids that are outsourcing their kids to the iPad, but what are you doing to help? Because here's what leadership is. Leadership is if you see it, you can change it. If you see it, you are causal. You don't have to go to the parents. I'm going to use that as an example if you don't mind, because we can all relate to this. You don't have to go to the parents and say, you know what, your kid's on the iPad too much. Why don't you do something about it? Why don't you step in and help? Why don't you get creative and actually go, well, if I was going to help solve this problem, what would I do? Instead of making the parent or the child wrong. You know, we live in this world that everybody's got all these fingers pointed and we walk around with all this shame. I don't know about you, but I'm in a constant conversation of forgiving myself. Constantly. I am constantly like, Shanda, I forgive you. Shanda, I forgive you. And it's how I re-enroll myself to get back on my game to play the game that I want to play. But my point in sharing that with you is that some of you guys need to close down some of the options. So I wrote this down and I said, you know, it's not good enough to be a great starter, you got to be a great finisher, which means that you need to learn how to close the loops in your life. And sometimes those loops are connected with people that you love that drive you batshit crazy. And I'm telling you that maybe before you start closing the loops, you need to change your perspective of the person that you are in love with, doing life with, or whatever that looks like. Do you guys hear me? Yes? Can you hear me? And as long as you say it's impossible, they're an alcoholic. Okay, so what are you doing? What did you do yesterday to get help around that? Right? Are you staying or are you leaving? No, well, I can't leave because, and I'm Christian, so I'm not into divorcing. Right? But my point is that you have everything in your life that you've chosen, tolerated, and is your standard. And I don't know about you, but 2024 is a power year. That's my word. This is the first time my entire family, I asked my husband, what's your word? He's an analyzer. So he says to me in the shower, I don't know, I have to think about it. I said, well, what if you were going to think about it, if you were going to make a decision, what would be your word? And he said, power. That's my word. Then I go to my little son, Zach, and I say, Zach, if you were going to pick a word for today, a word for this year, what would be your word for this year? Guess what he said, y'all? He said, power. Now, as a leader, I don't leave it there. I take the through line. This is in messaging. It's in movements. It's in leadership. It's in families. I take literally the movement of this conversation around power. And everything we talk about in our life right now is power. Does that give you power or does that not give you power? Does that give you power or no power? Go in the chat. What gives you power right now? What gives you power right now? Go ahead. What gives you power? Action. Awesome. Cash flow, God, taking action, cold showers, meditating, family, committed action, journaling. Awesome. Okay, so here's the thing. What is the story that you need to give up? Does the story mean that you got a lazy spouse? Is the story that you can't get something done because you don't have enough money? What is the story you need to give up? Okay, so here's where I got fired up when Michael was speaking. I wrote this down. I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I say to myself. I'm like, you know, when I grew this business, I said to myself, I was like, if Sarah Blakely can do it, I can do it. I was like, she had fertility issues going to where to be able to build her family. I don't know how many times she did IVF, but it was a lot. Right? She has a crazy husband who's a billionaire. Some of you guys are complaining that your partners are too busy. And so the relationship can't be on track because they're too busy. They never have time for you, right? But yet, at the end of the day, I look at Sarah Blakely and Jesse, and they're both billionaires, and they have incredibly busy schedules, but they find a way to get on the same page. And then some of you guys disqualify them right away because you say, well, they have assistants, or they have this. Do you know how hard it is to run an assistant, y'all? For real. Do you know how hard it is to run an assistant? It's like another marriage, right? You need good communication, you need open communication, you need, you find things that work, you find things that don't work, you try to get along, you try not to destroy them, you try to get the things done, and sometimes it's just easier to do it yourself, right? Well, not if you're going to advance your leadership. So I literally was writing, I was like, for every story that I've ever had, there's somebody else that has completed it. I wrote that down. That's actually the exact place I go. One of my clients asked me yesterday, they said, Shanda, where do you go in your head to solve the problems? That's where I go. Mary Berry, Nicole Meltzer, Lisa Smith, Melinda, right? Ann Nelson, Mom Bryan, it says, Tammy Rice. You guys, literally, that's where I go inside my head. But you know what? I didn't create that by myself, because all by myself, guess what I thought? I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, I don't have the knowledge. Do you know what the biggest one that riddled me is? I don't know enough. This one I have not heard Michael ever say, and I love this. Is this enough? We live in a society of worthiness issues. Am I right or am I right? That is a sentence or a question most of us are afraid to ask, because we have become such a society that is offended and defending ourselves, because the filter that we hear comes down to somebody is attacking us, not appreciating us. You don't hear me, you don't see me, I just have a need to be heard, and it's this, I gotta clear every conversation because everybody upsets me, and I gotta constantly go into these conversations because everybody just is driving me crazy, and I just wanna make sure that I have a clean relationship with you. But do you really, or do you need to be right? Right? And I just say this to you right now because I'm like, I love the standard of, am I enough? Or not even am I enough? Am I creating enough of a experience for my husband, for my child? My son's birthday's coming up. You know what I mean? And it's like, I go over the top to make sure it's enough. And I love the question of, instead of, it's like, is this enough? Like, is this enough? Like, I'm creating little poker tables or blackjack tables for Pokemon, right? And I'm like, I can't stand Pokemon, but he loves Pokemon. He'll feel, he said to me, I asked him, do you want to have your birthday at the house, or do you want to have it at the pool, or do you want to have it at the bunkers? Where do you want to have it? He said, I don't want to know, Mom. I don't want to know. I want you to surprise me. I don't want to know. But I definitely want Pokemon there. I'm like, I'm getting life-size Pokemons. I'm like, how do I get even bigger Pokemons, right? Why? Because the little 8-year-old turning 9 is gonna walk in, and where some people say, why would you bother going over the top? Why wouldn't I? Oh, it's not all about material things. That's not the point. It's about my son feeling like when he walks into his birthday that I saw him, that I know what he loves, that I know what he enjoys, that I care about how he feels at his birthday, because I want him to know that I put in the effort. So last thing I'm going to say to you right now is, what is the effort that you need to start putting in your life? Is it for yourself? Is it for other people? If you want to create big miracles in the world, you need to understand that if you need to lose weight, it's not just for you, it's for maybe your role model, someone. Maybe there's someone that you don't, and the older I get, I'm like, I don't work out anymore for aesthetics, really. I work out because I'm an older mom, and I want to be on the ski slopes with my son in 10 years from now. And sure shooting, I'm not going to say I can't ski a black diamond. When one of the people who train here at Hardcore, I don't know, she's over 60, and she just went heli skiing. right? Like she trains our List Power Intensive program. She just went heli skiing. She said she sat there in the room. It's like, this person was like an Olympic skier, this person was this, and this person was that. She's sitting there going, I think I'm underqualified and possibly undertrained. But she stayed in it, and you know what she realized when she got on the mountain? That they weren't all that. How many people are posturing to try and get attention? And how many people you're ready to change the story? So I just want to encourage you today as we close down this live to look at every story that you have. I want you to write down your story right now, not the whole story, but what is the story that's getting in the way of what it is that you want? What is that story? Right, Karina? What is the story that's getting in the way of what is that you want? And are you willing to blow that up? Are you willing to not be right about that? Are you willing to let that go? And if you are, and you need help, I want to give you the bridge to being trained and coached with Michael Strasner, Judith Rich, Lisa Kalman, some of the people that we stand shoulder to shoulder with that have helped hundreds of thousands of people transform. I've seen people go from divorce to getting their marriages back. I know if you're divorced, you don't want your marriage back, but what if you found out that you're replicating some of the same stuff in your next relationship? You guys see, willpower doesn't work. My friend who's a psychologist wrote a whole book. Go look it up on Amazon. Why willpower doesn't work. It doesn't work because if you get a bad night's sleep, you're exhausted. If you get a bad night's sleep, you might not be as kind. If you get a bad night's sleep, you don't have the willpower to work out. If you are working through a hard moment in your life, it's incredibly hard to get the results. I walked around Puerto Rico and said, I'm going to manifest a 5-bedroom house with an amazing pool. Did it in 3 weeks. I'm going to manifest a man who's going to become my husband that I am going to love and cherish. It was 90 days. I said, I'm going to have a child 90 days later. I said, I'm going to create $1 million. I did that year. I said, I'm going to have $1 million weekend. I did that. I'm going to have $1 million day. I did multiple. My point in sharing that with you is that what if there is a secret sauce between what you believe, what you see, and what you manifest? And when you line those things up and you start to realize that somebody has solved your problem and not just one person, there are thousands of people who have overcome whatever your victim story is in whatever area of your life. There are thousands of people who have come from way worse than where you're at. Paul Mitchell in a car with his son and have created empires. What's the empire that you're looking to create right now? So, how many of you guys are ready for help? Put the word help in the chat. So good. I love it. Like, I can see your faces. But here's the thing. When the help shows up, what do? When pressure comes in on you, do you get angry and push things away? Or when pressure comes in, do you step up? I'm going to tell you our whole next series on this Lives is called Step Up. Step up to your greatness. Step up to your parenting. Step up to your spouses. And I don't mean step up like fight them. I mean step up. Be the type of woman and man that you want to be. Be the type of daughter that you want to be. My mom has moved in with us. Do you know where the greatest transformation is happening for my husband and I right now, looking at ourselves, is how we speak to my mother. Like, it's never going to end. When you say, I've done landmark, or I've done this spiritual thing, or I've done this, or I've done that, I thought I was good. That alone is such an elitist mentality. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Like, I literally text messaged Michael and I'm like, I want to talk to him about something because I want to step up. I want to see what I'm made of. I want to see what I can create. I want to see how many charities I can help. Right now, I want to see how many orphanages I could literally take those children and get them homes. I want to see, I don't want to stop at comfort. I don't want to live where I'm living anymore. I want to go to the next level. It doesn't matter how many cars you have or how many houses you have, or even if you buy a jet. None of that matters. What matters is, who are you being? And are you being at the top of your game? And I will tell you something. I have a next level. You have a next level. And it doesn't happen by willpower. It doesn't happen surrounding yourself with a bunch of people who justify the reason why you're tired. If you're tired, you don't eat right. Right? If you are exhausted, you need help. If your marriage isn't working, you need to lead it different. If you are the better man and you're a woman in a relationship, you need help. There are people that want to help you. There are businesses that are there for you, but you don't prioritize it because you still don't want to spend money on yourself. It's wild, the shit we tell ourselves to hold back. So I'm telling you, you guys, right now, we have taken Hardcore Leadership and we have put it on a flash sale. And I'm going to close this down. I'm opening it up. I've actually left it open for the last couple of weeks, and I want to say something to you right now. You cannot let 2024 not be the year that you want. Hear me when I say this. Your life is too valuable to not have your leadership in check, to be able to create and have the courage of everything that you want. Okay, so I want you to go. I'm going to tell you about this right now. But you can go right now to joinhclnow.com. And on that page, you're going to see something. And what you're going to see is there's a 3-part training. I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to share this with you because it's critically important. Number 1, it's 3 days out of your life. 3 days out of your life, it's called vision. And some of you guys need a new vision. Some of you guys are so connected to the problems in your life that there are open loops everywhere, incomplete dreams, incomplete to-do lists, incomplete like goals that you have set. And you know what? There's nothing worse for an entrepreneur or a human being, but especially an entrepreneur, than to lose your confidence. Do you hear me right now? If you lose your confidence, how on fire for your goals are you? In fact, I would say get rid of the goals and get a vision. Get rid of the goals and get a vision. Now, I can't transform your whole life in 3 days. That's cheap. It's not going to happen. That's not how it works. It's 3 days that you will literally do one main thing, which is see through your problems. Realize that those problems have seemed real and there is another willingness inside you, and that's a big one. Let me tell you, I coach a lot of people, and the level of resistance to change is massive. Do you understand what I'm saying, Candace? The willing to change is like, yeah, I want to change, and then you turn off the light, you walk into your living room, and you're in a full-blown battle, irritation, facial expression, like within seconds. Well, vision, 3 days in vision, literally gets you stable. It puts you in a position where you're like, okay, I'm willing to have this situation in my life shift. I'm willing. And from that willingness, it only comes from authenticity. You can see how this can change. Everybody can usually see how something got created. You know why something's not working. You know why something got messed up, but you don't know how to change it. Am I right or am I right? The how to change it is in 4 days on Breakthrough. Okay, so the reason why it's 4 days, and you cannot go there without here. In other words, some of you ambitious people want to go straight to Breakthrough and go, just give me the 4 days, I'm ready to go. No, you're not. Because you have to have a willingness and you have to see your biggest visions. How do you guys know that you're not working your biggest vision right now? Because I certainly knew it. Right? Like I had someday goals. That's someday goals, that's lacking courage. And it's got slow speed to it. If you don't think I'm right, just analyze yourself right now. How quick is your life progressing? Now, I don't mean time clicking by, because that's moving fast. I mean, how quickly is your life progressing? How quickly is your business coming together? Right? This is why I tell people, go through the training, crush it, and then apply to come back and staff. And the reason why I say that to people is get in there, like go all in. Do you know what I mean? Like that's not for everybody. That's for crazy people like me. Before I owned this training, I did it and I went back in and I staffed. And that's where I created over $100 million in a company in less than 15 months. That is not normal. I had no business plan for it. I had clear intention. And that clear intention, it went viral. And yes, you could say, oh, could you do that again? I don't know. I've created much more money in this company. I haven't done over $100 million, but I've done 50, over 50. Right? And so once you get unlocked, you can keep getting unlocked. Some of us, we get unlocked doing the training once. Some of us get unlocked by doing the training, having a huge explosion, and then going back and staffing. Who am I speaking to right now? right? Who's watching right now that you know you need to go back and staff, right? Like, listen to me. I'm not going to sell you a program. I'm going to sell you on your life. And I'm going to say that you don't need to worry about what Sam's doing and Tom's doing. What you need to look at is what's it going to take for you. Some of you guys need to go to joinhclnow.com. Okay, like go there. You already know you're in. Stop staring at me. Go to joinhclnow.com and make the commitment. Do you know what happens after you make the commitment? You free up energy. You're like, okay, now I can sleep tonight because I actually know that I did something this time to follow through. Breakthrough is 4 days. After breakthrough, this is where a lot of programs stop. And what happens here is that you've changed. You've had results. You've had incredible conversations. You've started to move things forward. But what do you think top performers lack? Accountability. So there's a third level called practice. And if you do take me up on this, you're going to be on frickin' fire over the next 90 days. Next 90 days. I think our next training goes in March. Okay? And so practice is the third level. This is 90 days. It is not even close to here. This is hard work. But you guys, are you willing to do 4, 5, 6, 7 days? Are you willing to give yourself 7 days at the beginning of this year? What a perfect time to do it. Are you willing to prioritize you for 7 days to have 90 days of massive productivity? Like massive productivity. In these 90 days, you have weekly calls. You have a coach. You have 3 meetings. And here's what you're gonna love or not love, depending on your willingness, because you haven't done vision yet. In practice, you have to pick, you're basically testing the program. And I would like to tell you that I can be checked on this all day long. 99% of our clients who have done joinhclnow.com have created their results. So guess what? Your story that things have not worked out for you in the past, it doesn't hold up here. Right? Your story that I've gotten lost in programs, I've signed up for things and not followed through, it doesn't fly here. Okay, like, could you be part of the 1% who didn't make it? I wouldn't even say they didn't make it. They just set such massive goals that they completed it over the next week or 2 weeks. I'd have to ask my husband exactly, but from what I understand, everybody's completed within a week to 3 weeks on the 1% that didn't hit the mark. But I will not let you graduate this program. You can finish, but you cannot graduate this program on the 3rd weekend of practice. This is all virtual. You're going to do it virtually, right? You can't graduate. Like, we don't say, here, Candace, here's a graduation, unless you hit your target. And so now I ask you, ask yourself, why would you want to do this? Why would you want to do this? Right? You know how I talk myself into things? I can answer that question. I'll tell you why I wanted to do this. I wasn't as happy as I could be. I had no good relationship with boyfriends. I just was always left disheartened. And I knew out of the place of responsibility that truly, I knew that I wasn't innocent in it. I just didn't know how to get through it. So I kept repeating the same pattern. Secondly, I knew I wanted to make an insane amount of money in my life. I didn't want to make some money. I wanted to make insane amounts of money. Okay, so why would I want to do this now? Is because of all those reasons. And now I'm empowered in a way that I'm telling you guys, there is no economy, there is no bad attitude person, there is no disruption, there is no disease, there is nothing that will stop me from creating my vision, and my vision keeps getting bigger. Now I can actually apply what Tony Robbins says about get into proximity. Some of you guys are afraid to get into proximity with people because you know damn well you're not going to do anything with it. You're still going to feel unworthy. You're still not going to execute a great plan. And so you even contemplate your biggest dreams and desires to go to great events where, like, if Richard Branson was sitting in front of you, some of you guys would get excited about that, but you're still so freaking scared you wouldn't create a deal with them. You got to unlock yourself. You got to unlock yourself. So with this program today, if you go to joinhclnow.com, I'm going to gift you 2 things. I'm not sure if they're on the website or not. because this is not our regular website. This is a flash sale page. It will get shut down. So joinhclnow.com. If you got friends, family, people that you want to do this with, go show them this video, right? Get them on board, talk to them, and literally empower your whole family. My mother lives here today and sat here today because of this training. I never used to own it. Now I own it. She would not be here with her grandbaby. She would have had every freaking excuse in the world why she couldn't leave Canada. Okay, it would have been, I don't have enough money, I don't have any friends, you guys are busy, I won't get to spend any time with you, and now the woman ended up in the downstairs second master bedroom in her house. She would have taken herself out of all of that progress because she couldn't see it in the beginning. You guys, business, love, life, there's an X factor, and it doesn't all fit on a spreadsheet. There's things that are trying to manifest in your life right now that are definitely trying to come in that you are blocking them. You know it. And you've got to release the resistance, get yourself back into the flow, the excitement, the power of life. And you need to go to joinhclnow.com. Now, here's the thing. How many of you guys are in marriages or you're in a massively committed relationship, like it's lifetime? On February 20th, Michael, who trained here today, will be doing a virtual marriage day on February 20th. I am going to ask my husband tonight to sit through it because I think it's just good. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just really good to keep going to the next level. Even if things are great, how do you know there isn't a miracle that's even better? Do you know what I mean? Like, why settle for good? Why settle for great? Like, why not see what it could be like? Because we're all in our own little freaking bubbles. And it's like, it's here. So if you go to joinhclnow.com, I'll gift you the marriage retreat. Now, I don't know if this is on the website, probably is not, but I know that we have a teen training coming up. And we have never sold the teen training. I believe every teen should be in this. So if you are in Join HCL Now right now, joinhclnow.com, then I will throw in the teen training, which means maybe you don't have a teen, but you have a nephew, a niece. We will train them. I will give you up to 2 people in the teen training. I've never done that before. I'm getting back to, I love the fact when I want you to know that I love not making the same offer twice. And the reason why is because I get excited about it. And so I know that if I make the same offer over and over and over again, I just am not that excited about it. I want to outgive myself. How can I give more? How can I show up bigger? I do this with my family. I do this with you. I do this with my business. I do it all over the place, right? So I don't have the dates on the team, but I will get them for you. I will make sure our team gets them to you. Everybody who jumps into joinhclnow.com, the teen training will be a bonus that will go away today. I'm going to close it down at midnight tonight, California time. Okay, midnight tonight, you've got until California time, and I'm going to shut down the teen training because I don't know how many people we can actually take at that. But you can have up to 2 teens that you want to gift, bless. I mean, could you imagine the legacy of that? Lynn Walker, imagine having 2 little teens in the teen training. You took on your own life, you stepped up. Right, you stepped up. I'm going to tell you guys, if you're watching this training in the next few weeks when I go into the Step Up series, you're going to be pissed at yourself if you didn't do this. Because you're getting little glimpses of what's possible. And if you felt excitement, power, aha moments when Michael was speaking, you know what needs to shift and change. I'm going to tell you something. You can use willpower to get a little ahead. You absolutely can. And you can use months and years of your life to change over time. Here's what it sounds like. I've gotten a lot better. He's gotten a lot better. She's gotten so much better. Really, that's our standard. Because we ain't getting all those months and years back while we worked and we're a work in progress. I'm seeing blow your life up. I'm saying get the vision that is going to compel you at a level that you can't stop. Get the breakthrough that stops you from stopping at everything that triggers you, scares you. You don't have enough money. Do you know how I create money? Because of breakthrough. Like literally, I create everything out of that training. And then practice, put us through the test. You pick one big ass goal and we'll coach you there. So that's all I got for you guys today. I hope that this was super, super valuable. Tomorrow we will be back over the next couple days. I'm going to have Friday, we're going to teach you around style flexing to land any communication. And I just hope that you take this training to heart today, because this was one of the best things I ever did for my life, my parenting, and my business. All right, you guys, I'm going to say goodbye. Go to joinhtclnow.com and send this training to whoever needs to hear it. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.